What's up guys, Jivan back with another video, and today I'm going to be giving you 5 of the best beginner competitive tips that you can learn. I remember I learned some of these way back in the day when I was first starting out, and they helped me so much. But some of them I learned later on, and I wish I knew them sooner because they could have made a big difference in how fast I learned the game. So hopefully this helps you out. Let's hop right into it. In the background, you're going to be seeing some viewer zone wars that I hosted on stream the other day in Lucky's solo endgame map. The first thing we're going to talk about is the order of looting in endgame. This one is really beginner, but I feel like I should mention it because sometimes people will comment on my tournament videos and be like, Jivan, you missed a gold pump, it was right in front of you, why didn't you get it? This is why. The order you should loot in endgame is this. First, loot mats with your pickaxe out. Second, loot any white heals that are there, like floppers, splashes, medmiss. Third, you should get ammo for the guns that you need if needed. Like say you have one clip in your SMG, you gotta look for the SMG ammo. And then if you still have more time, then you loot guns. A lot of the times, especially when you're looting in the storm in endgame, you don't even ever look at the guns. You just look at the mats and the white heals. It's good to know that order of importance. The second tip for this video is a checklist of what to do in endgame. So endgame can actually be really repetitive, and the more of a rhythm you get in with it, the better you're going to be doing. So obviously every single endgame is very different, but the most common repetition that you can do in endgame goes like this. Rotating early and getting ahead of the zone, and don't even look back, just focus forward. Keep looking forward and rotating forward until you're on that front edge of zone and you're boxed up. Once you get boxed up in a good position in zone, that's when you're gonna, check your heals, check your ammo count, make sure you're reloaded. Then after that, check how much time is left until the next zone pops and how many players are left. And then after all that, look for kills around you. And now that sounds like a lot, that sounds like a lot to do before you actually start looking for kills. But once you get really good at that repetition, once you get really good at rotating ahead, boxing up, healing, reloading, checking zone, and then looking for kills, you can do all of that in a matter of a second. It's just good to get that reflex down of checking all those things, because if one of those things is out of order and you're not paying attention to it, your game can instantly be over. Like let's say you take a fight and you're not fully healed or fully reloaded, you're dead. Let's say you take a fight and you didn't check the zone, so you don't know where the next zone is pulling, and then you get caught on back edge of zone, and then you're dead. You're done. Master this process and you'll have much quicker decision making in endgame. It'll be really good for you. But again, not every endgame is going to be that straightforward. That's just the general kind of repetition you should try to get in. The third tip I'm going to talk about is first and second moving zone positioning. On the first and second zone, there's oftentimes like so many players alive, so you'll have people on all sides of you, and sometimes those rotates can feel impossible. Something that can make these rotates easier is try to pick left or right side, whichever side looks more free, and then gradually rotate towards that side on your first and second moving zone rotates. You don't need to instantly rotate straight to the left, but you can kind of rotate diagonally in that direction. The main thing is you don't want to get caught up in the middle of the first and second moving zones, like right in the middle of everyone, because then you're literally going to have to do an entire full tunnel, waste all your mats just to do one zone of rotating. But if you get off to a side, you only have to block like your left side if you're on the right side of zone. Or if you're on the left side of zone, you block your right side. Another big thing to look out for when doing this is you don't want to be the only person on that side of zone. If this happens, then everyone else is going to be on the other side of zone, and let's say the zone pulls towards them next and away from you. Everybody's going to be ahead of you on the rotate, and they're all going to hold you on that back edge of zone. So if you notice you're the only person on that side of zone, you can try to hold it for a while, but just be aware, if the zone pulls straight to all the rest of the players, you need to get there before they notice you're the separated duckling, if that makes sense. For the most part, try to aim for that dead side of zone though, trust. Now, what about on the third and fourth moving zone? This is where things get really interesting. This is where you want to be playing for the win. The rest of the game was survive, 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 but now it's get the alpha points. You gotta start moving towards power positions once it gets to the third or fourth moving zone. You don't need to rush it, but you should start to either look for a low ground cutoff play. What this means is On the ultimate low ground, the farthest low ground layer, you only have to block your top side and fend off everybody else that's on low ground. So if you can get to the front side of low ground, that is one of the power points. So what I said is you can get ahead and drop in front of that low ground layer, cut them off from the front side, and then spray back, pressure them from the front. If you do this, you're going to have all the advantage because they're going to have Storm on their back and you'll be on the front side of low ground. That's the first power position. The other one is obviously high ground. If you can manage to get a big refresh in the third moving zone, that's your opportunity to try to grief height a little bit, like spray up at them, see if you can get a crack, see if you can get them to drop just by spraying at them. And if you do harm high ground in some way, whether you get a crack or you feel like they're low on mats, crank up on the front side of zone. In both situations, whether you're cutting off low ground or high ground, it's so important to try to get to the front side of zone first, because then you're not going to be in that awkward position with zone pushing into your back. The only times where you don't need to be on the front side of zone is if you have a crazy amount of heals and you're going for a sneaky storm play on high ground. That can work as well. I've seen it work so many times. But yeah, if you don't get ultimate low ground or ultimate high ground, at some point in the game, you're going to get kind of pinched from both sides. Let's say there's 3 teams left, you're one of them, and there's a team above you and a team below you. They're gonna be just spraying at you from both directions, and it is not going to be fun. That's why it's really important to be aware of what point in the game you're at and when you need to be looking for those power positions. The last tip I have for you in this video is something that's relevant to the game right now. It might not be next season, but it's worth noting for now. Grapples. It's so important to use grapples in the right way. I see so many people, even pros sometimes, just not using grapples right. If you notice yourself getting shot out of your grapple almost every single time in endgame, you need to listen up. The first thing is do not open your wall in a direction where people are holding. Like if you're on back edge of zone and you're planning to grapple, don't open your front wall that's positioned straight towards the zone. Open up one of the side walls. That way, you're not showing everybody that's ahead of you that you're about to grapple. Little things like that make a difference, especially when grappling. Like, you want to minimize your chances of getting shot in any way that you can. The most preferable situation is try to go out one of your sides that the storm is on. If the storm is on your right, literally grapple out the right side of your box into the storm, take a few ticks of storm, and you'll be way less likely to get shot because there's nobody positioned in the storm. Another thing is staying elevated with grapples is pretty important, but if you're elevated, make sure you're grappling over top of things for it to work. If you're just grappling super high up in the air over top of nothing and you get shot, you're dead. Another thing is if you tap fire with the grapple, it oftentimes sends you higher and it'll be more consistent a lot of times. Rather than if you hold the shoot button and you're like kind of dragging across the air, like a lot of times you drag across the ground. In those type of situations, you almost always get shot out. But yeah, take a look at this example here. I was mega shambles and panicking, which is why I took this route. But you can see I was going straight down the center of the map and some kids opened up, shot me out, and had me boxed, and I was dead. If I would have gone around the left side here, I probably would have been chilling. If you can learn how to take good routes with the grapple, it is going to change your endgame, I swear. Anyways, guys, I hope these 5 tips help you out, especially if you're new to comp. You know, these are some of the best things to learn at the very start of your game. If you've been playing comp for a while and you didn't already know this stuff, hopefully it helps you out. Anyways, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.